Buenos dias, Gunners Collective. Back at it? You already know. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. She's a what? She's a what? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. She's a ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Just a torta with the snack habit. Bye-up, bye-up, bye-ya-ya-ya-ya-ya. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. That's right, man. And in menudo style in direct fashion, as you can tell by that thumbnail, we're going to get straight to it. We're going to get on a serious note here today. It's Sunday, last day for a fun day. Back to business as usual comes Monday. You already know what it is, lighter shade of brown. And there's something we need to speak on and talk about. Something that's really relevant on what's going on, at this exact moment. So for those of you that haven't been caught up on the Espone situation, the murder of Espone, it's a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big deal out there in LA. It's a pretty big deal in Sacramento. It's a pretty big deal, period, especially if you knew this man. If you had love for this man or you know of him, then everybody's trying to speak on it and everybody's trying to keep up with what's going on. But, it brings to mind something that's real relevant that I wanted to talk about for a long time. And I just decided that for no other reason, I should speak on it today. So when it comes to the murder of Espone and what happened to him, man, Espone definitely was a person of interest. When I say of interest, he is a person that, although his platform wasn't as big as many others, he was definitely headed in that direction, a direction of positivity, a direction of a real true OG that's been there and done that had a lot to give to the youth, that had a lot to give to his own people, that could pretty much, man, extinguish fires, put them out, just based on words and where he's been. Ain't nothing better than sitting back and listening to an OG who's really been there and done that. That has a lot of signatures on that name. There's a lot of stamps involved, right? His name, his credibility, everything is stamped from the streets. He was a true one, and he would be truly missed. But let's talk about paperwork, okay? Paperwork, traditionally in prison, paperwork is your resume. Paperwork is what you must have on you when you get to certain facilities, certain yards, because that's your resume, eh? That's your everything you've done in your career is all on a piece of paper in black and white. And when you get to places in prison, they are going to ask for your paperwork. And the reason they're going to ask is because that's going to identify everything about you, where you've been, where you haven't been, your status, who you hung around with, what you claimed in the past, what they assumed you claimed in the past. No self-admission, but a lot of stuff and a lot of things go into that 128G or go into your paperwork. They want to know if you told in your case, if you have priors for telling on people, if you ever had weird charges and things of that nature, because a yard must be secured. Okay, and that goes by all group standards. A yard must be secured. There's a lot going on that can be spoken on them yards, okay? And when someone gets there with some trash on his record, someone gets there that's on freeze or ice, or someone gets there that people are skeptical of, they've been hearing rumors about this individual in the streets or the county jails or whatever, you showed a cowardice act, I spoke on that yesterday, or there was just certain things that you've done that are rather unbecoming on said yard, people are going to press up on you. They're going to apply that pressure, and checking paperwork in prison is a great thing because it lets you know who you're around. Now, there's many people that can produce fake paperwork. There's many people that are able to slide and slither depending on your group and how they check. If they do that due process, they do their due diligence and they really check up on people. But nowadays with these cell phones, tablets, things of that nature, it's quite easy to figure out a whole person's, resume. It's quite easy to figure out a whole person's get down. Now, when you depend on other people, word of mouth, and what they have to say about the guy, that's when it gets real tricky. That's when there's tricky dance moves involved, okay? That's when it gets real sticky because what happens is someone might just not like you. So they could put out a whole bunch of propaganda and slander your name and drag it through the mud. And now you're in a position of having to prove yourself, or you're in a position of having to prove otherwise. And that's tricky, okay? Because say it's this guy and he's fucking running the yarda, or he's got the keys, the llaves, he's doing his thing, and he's got a homeboy from his neighborhood that just don't like the way your mascara looks. He don't like the way that caspa falls on your shoulders. He just doesn't like you for whatever reason. Maybe you boned his old lady in the past. Maybe you're doing it in the future. No one knows, but he has a bone to pick with you. He could slander your name and drag it through the mud, and that's automatically going to put a taint on this guy. He's automatically going to think, if my homeboy don't fuck with you, then I don't fuck with you. And it can become a whole fiasco, and it can be dirty. and you could get dirty politicked off that yard, whacked. Next thing you know, you're on the other side, and now you're disproven. Now it doesn't matter what type of paperwork you got. None of that counts anymore. So prison's a very tricky situation when it comes to paperwork. There have been people in the past that have slandered people, made false paperwork, false narratives for no other reason than they can. And it's just very ugly, especially nowadays. You know, back in the days, it was straight up, hey, pura, 10-5 aquí. Let me see your paperwork. Sabes que? Bam, solid. There you go. You're cleared. You know, you can go to the yard and everything's good, man. You're part of the reindeer games. You're within the casa. But nowadays, even seeing paperwork, man, people don't know if it's real. They don't know if people doctored it. You got the AI shit going on. It's just so much that goes into it. It's just a dirty game. So now we got people pulling people's paperwork on YouTube. I've had it done to me. It's been done to many others that I know. You know, it's this exposing thing. People think it's fun, and they want for no other reason than to tear a man down, tear his integrity, his dignity, just break him, right? They figure by exposing him or talking about his past or talking about something that they feel personally ain't cool, this is going to expose the guy, and all these people are going to fall off, and all these people ain't going to fuck with this dude just based on he said, she said. Most of the time it's she said on some bitch shit, right? But, you know, it is what it is. If you choose to be out here, not prison, but out here on the streets or on a YouTube social media platform, pulling people's paperwork, showing the world what's going on, you have to be able and willing to deal with the repercussions for that action. See, everything in life has a repercussion. Oh, let me tell you something, right? You think you're that badass, that cool guy on YouTube, that gangster, that active gang member, that whatever que la chingada you think you are. You're the big fish to fry. You're the big taco, right? Well, guess what, crema? Right? There's always going to be someone bigger and badder than you. And don't throw stones when you live in a glass house, because if you have anything, once it surfaces, well, then you're going to have to be the vato with the toenails in your mouth, with your foot in your mouth, right? There's a lot of things that a lot of people know about a lot of people that shouldn't and couldn't and won't be said on YouTube. I know a lot of things about a lot of individuals, but I won't speak on it because this is not the platform to do it, because I understand about the repercussions for the action. And let me explain to you exactly how it's relevant to the Espone situation and how it's relevant to what's going on today in YouTube. If you think you're big and bad and the thing to do is to check people's paperwork and to put them on blast and to expose them and to expose their misdeeds or maybe something that they did when they were young or something that they did or are doing now, let me tell you, you better be willing and ready to stand on that. Because when the feds, when the placas come knocking at your door to ask you questions, what are you going to do? Is it going to be your paperwork party time? Is it going to be time for you to hold it down and be solid and go lawyer up or iron up? What are you going to do? What the fuck truly are you going to do? A lot of these guys that woof that shit and expose people and talk that shit, later on something comes out on them. Yeah, that's all, folks. Let me tell you. The Espone situation. So he's murdered in Sacramento. And there's been a lot of theories and a lot of people are speaking on it. No one knows truly what the fuck happened but Espone and whoever did this to him, right? But there's a lot of people throwing this guy 600 under the bus because he had documentation thrown out there, because he was talking about paperwork, because people feel that he that Espone in a tricky situation. Now, what happens if you expose someone and put their paperwork online? Oh, it's cool. In the meantime, in between time, it's like it's all fun and games, right? You know, oh, I'm going to expose this fool. I found out that this vato fucking back in the days, you know what I mean? Like Chirujos, or I found out that this dude back in the day said a little too much, or I found out this dude was on Megan's Law, or whatever the case may be, right? You feel that you're that fella. You're that one that has to apply that pressure and put him out there because it's going to be for views. It's going to be for that bag, whatever it's going to be. You know, fuck this guy. I don't like him. I'm going to expose him. And then something happens to him. Just like something happened to Espone. Who's the first motherfucker they're going to come knocking at your door? The person that exposed him. And let me tell you, if proven that that murder or any assault or anything that happens to a person that was exposed, right, on YouTube or any social media platform, if they could prove a direct link to that he was smacked because of that, because you enlightened people and they felt a certain way, so they chose to fucking go pick up a strap or a piece or whatever and handle business, because you're that man to enlighten people. You're the maestro, you're the teacher, right? You enlightened them. You had to show them, you had to be that one. Now, if they could prove a direct result by what you did, you're just as culpable as the man who pulled the trigger. as the man who did the pegada. Oh, you didn't know that? Yes, absolutely. When you put someone's life in danger, it gets real tricky. And you're the first person that they're going to come investigate, knock at the door, ask questions about, talk to other people about. And the shit gets deeper and deeper, and it just piles up. People think that these social media platforms are here to clown people, talk shit about people, expose people, dirty and muddy people. And everyone's been victim of it, and everyone's been part of it. I'm not going to sit here and be a hypocrite and say once upon a time I didn't say Adam fucking was talking to youngsters, because he was. You know, I rolled with the flow. Should I have? Probably not, but I did. And if something was to happen to Adam in the future, I'm sure they'll come knocking on Gunner's door. And what am I going to do? Well, I ain't going to do nothing but sit on back. I ain't got nothing to say. You know, but even if you don't have nothing to say, if they could prove a direct result that shit happened because of that, there ain't nothing I can say. Handcuff time. You know, if I was the one to expose that guy. See, people think, obviously, that shit's make-believe, that this is for funds. Oh, this is just the internet, man. It's merely and purely for entertainment. Let me tell you, the shit gets real. Once you've said it in real life, it's out there. And whatever anyone decides to do with it, if they decide to take that shit seriously and run with it and handle business because of that, because they're feeling some type of way, well then, homie, you're just as culpable as the next man. It's happened a few times here on YouTube. You know, just the other day I seen, and I'm not even going to use their names, but I seen a well-known YouTuber be exposed by a rapper, or I've never even heard the guy's rap songs, but a so-called rapper who's also here on social media. And he exposed them for doing things with children, as far as beating on them, and we're not even going to get into the intricate details because they're nasty, right? You know what I mean? Straight gives you Oscar. But at the same time, what happens now? That guy can't wiggle like he wiggled before because now he's exposed, man. Now people know about him. Now people have seen paperwork on him. Now things that he has done in his past have crept up on him. Now I know a lot of people out there going to say, well, if you got dirt on your name, just don't go on YouTube. Don't go on social media, and then you don't have to worry about that. Hey, to each their own, man. Everyone life's a risk, Andal. Everyone does what they do, right? You can't dictate a man's program and tell him not to go after the bag or not to spread his word, you heard? You can't tell that man that he can't speak or have a platform because it's free and anyone could do it. It's how you do it and how you move and the type of friends you accumulate or the type of enemies you accumulate. What they're willing to do to put a derogatory jacket on you, to clown on you, and think it's all cool and it's all fun and they're laughing about it. And look, hey, Devante ain't getting no views. I did that. You know what I mean? You're cool, huh? We're so cool, we're going to call you a culo. When the feds come knocking at your door because this Vato got smacked in an alley, they're going to say it was you that put him on blast. It was you that put him in danger. You put his life on hold, Holmes. So now it's time for you to hold on like In Vogue, Don Robinson, and get your lead sing on. Now it's time for you to go through the system and figure out everything this guy was talking about, if it was real or not. And a lot of people can't do that. So what happens is an accumulation of telling, right? A domino effect. Oh no, he puts it off on this guy, and well, I got the paperwork from this guy. Well, this guy told me. Well, this guy's platform did it first. And it's just a big old fiasco and a big old he said, she said party, a paperwork party, right? And there more paperwork and more people to be exposed. This Espo situation has changed the game. For those of you that are not keeping up on it, they are at 600's door. According to him, the feds or the detectives are sitting outside his home, his lady's home, his people, right? And they're watching him. Now, he doesn't seem as concerned as you would think, but he keeps putting it out there to the people. So he obviously is kind of concerned. Because if you read facial expressions and the way he speaks on it, he kind of looks down like, damn, got me, right? Let me tell you, he's an intelligent individual, I'm sure, in some aspects and points in life, right? And I'm sure he understands enough, or if he doesn't, he needs to watch this video like everyone does and need to understand, man, that if they could prove that S-Bone was killed, in fact, as a direct result of paperwork or people speaking derogatory on his name or bad, you know, and that gets back to the detectives, then he's going to be cuffed. He's going to be cuffed up 2-3 days from now. He'll be cuffed up if that's the situation. Because he chose to slander that man's name. He chose to defecate on that man's character while here on YouTube. A man that was just trying to speak positivity. Wasn't really speaking about the gang aspect of life. Was just telling you about times he's been in prison, things that he's seen, and how he was trying to make a positive change. Now, for some reason, this guy 600 and others, man, decided to expose him or decided to talk about things that he possibly could or couldn't have done in his past. which is not really relevant to what's going on now. He's not in prison, Holmes. He's not trying to secure himself on the yard. He's out there going to fucking Wiener Schnitzel, trying to get him some chili cheese fries and just push. He's trying to get a bag, man. He's trying to take care of his family. But people don't see it that way. They don't give a fuck. So when it's their time, when it's your time to shine, when you're in trouble, Holmes, no one's going to give a fuck about you. Gracias for the entertainment. Thank you for showing us some bogus ass paperwork, or thank you for showing us some righteous paperwork. Either way, orale carnal. La primera lives. But not for you, because you'll live 24/7 within that cell, dwelling in that lab 24/7 like a JT Bigafigure the song, right? Or JT Bigafigure that song. Now, people are of an understanding that they could say whatever they want. Freedom of speech, freedom of speech. But there's a thing called defamation of character. You know, when you talk a lot of shit about a person or expose their hand or put them in some type of danger because of what you did, you are liable for it. You're culpable. Okay, you're just as guilty as the man who pulled that trigger. If not even more guilty, because you started that shit. That's the motherfucking thanks you get. You pushed people in that direction of thinking. You know, a lot of guys, they're going to laugh when they see this video. I don't care. I'm still going to put paperwork out there until they come knocking on your door. If something happens to anyone who was exposed on a social media platform, they're going to look at you. Now, that you might not get caught up for it. You know, maybe you were just spitting out and speaking on secondhand information, shit that you shouldn't have, because you really don't know what's up. You weren't there. You don't know the situation. There's a lot of people that like to classify people as chomos or ratas or punks that weren't in the situation, so don't know exactly what goes on. They think they're the only ones that know how to manipulate paperwork. They don't realize that you can sit down with the placa and the placa just might not like you and they can manipulate the situation in paperwork. I'm not here trying to you know what I mean, blame it and play the blame game and blame it on the cops or blame it on anyone else. But let's speak reasonable here. You know, hey, when the placas are in charge of what goes on that paperwork, man, anything can be typed up. That's it. There could be paperwork floating around on you that you've never even seen in your life. And then all of a sudden someone finds it on YouTube and it comes to light and you're like, good Lord, you know, goddamn, for real, serio? And now it is what it is. You know, there's been a lot of good men that have had paperwork put on their head, or people have talked shit about them, and then guess what happens? It gets disproven. Or is it a pick and choose situation because they can rap good or who they are? It's all good. Remember Jay Diggs when they were pushing paperwork on him, talking about he was telling on Miami the most and things of that nature? You know what I mean? He said it in his song. You know, if I catch the man who did it, I'm killing him, literally. You know, my name is Diggs. I'm one in a million. Let me tell you something. A lot of people in this world, what a person can say about them can really change the hearts of others. They're followers. They show no leadership quality skills, right? Those are followers. That's the sheep, homie. And when the big bad wolf comes to town, he's going to lead them over the hill so that way he could eat them up. Do you understand that metaphor? And it ain't a subliminal. It's just real. That's what happens in this world we live in nowadays. Everybody is trying to climb up that mountain and everyone is willing to step on that sheep's head to get there. Bad. You know, straight up, that's a bad situation, but motherfuckers are doing that. Anyways, with that being said, with this whole 600 situation and the S-Phone thing, do I truly think that he was involved? I don't know. Nor do I care. All I know is we lost a good man. But if they are able to prove a direct result, because this Volta was speaking on this guy's name for whatever reason, I don't know if it was for clout or he truly didn't like him. They weren't even from the same neighborhood, right? But he was truly throwing fucking derogatory shit out there. Well, man, you're just as culpable if they can prove a direct link. If they can't, sabes que pensan la tira, then it has nothing to do with you. But still, you have to think of what you say on the internet before you say it. Facts. For all the other people that are pushing paperwork on people and talking all that shit, don't get mad when the rabbit got the gun. Don't get mad when people expose your hand, or don't get mad when something happens to that person and you're in trouble. Because then you're going to sit there like, damn, bro, I was just trying to get a bag. Well, Sasuke, get a bag lunch. You know what I mean? Because get that canteen. Because everyone's trying to get in that bag. Share, ese. 30%. 30%. With that being said, gente, I hope that you move smooth with a purpose. Just a little Sunday, a Sunday morning little speech and little spill. I have to put the real out there, man. You know, all this exposing the shit, I'm done with it, man. I don't give a fuck if someone got exposed or not. You know, I know I've, in the past, man, I've also been victimized as far as people trying to expose me or me exposing people. And it's a stupid game. And it's a serious game. And I'm of the understanding now how serious it could be. Ask 600. They're out in front of his door right now because of shit he said on the internet. It's ugly. You know what I mean? Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive and struggle and struggle and strive to bring you guys some of these words of wisdom, some of these jewels. I'm giving you knowledge you can't get in college. You already know what it is. Like and subscribe, hit that notification button, turn it to all, and come fuck with your boy The Gun. Bang, bang. Seriousness.